Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Wilson, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 AM 630. WMAL.
7:37 Wednesday morning. KT McFarland is on the line, Fox News national security analyst. You can check her out on the internet today, DEFCON 3, 2 o'clock. You go to live.foxnews.com to check that out. KT, I want to start with this open mic incidents with President Obama and Nicolas Sarkozy. A little bit of debate in this room whether or not it's that big of a deal or if it hurts the president at all. I tend to think it's it's no big deal for President Obama. What do you think of all this?
Well, potentially it's a big deal if things go very badly, because it'll be another piece of evidence that President Obama didn't support Israel, didn't want to support Israel, didn't like Israel, doesn't like the Israeli president, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that would be a political issue, I suppose, really, with the Jewish community, and in Florida particularly, electoral time. But it needs to have something else happen, like Iran develops nuclear weapons and America stands by.
But the transcript that we've been given was that apparently Barack Obama, the president, was talking to Sarkozy, was upset with him because he didn't give him a heads up about how he was going to vote on Palestinian statehood. And then Sarkozy said, basically, Netanyahu's a liar. And then the president said, yes.
I got to deal with him every day.
Right. I mean,
can't stand
all right. So I don't know. To me, I just kind of roll my eyes on that one. Yeah, it's probably the way he feels. And Netanyahu probably knows that's the way the president feels, because they don't exactly have a great relationship.
Yeah, but, in the greater scheme of things, foreign affairs, national security issues are not based on who you like and who you don't like. They're based on the hard realities of economics and politics and military and all the rest. So if somebody doesn't, win most congenial in the Miss USA contest, doesn't mean you can't conduct foreign policy with them. And I just think that they look really immature, frankly. I mean, Sarkozy and Obama, suck it up and get over it. Let's be big boys here.
The big news, I think, in the world right now is Iran and their desire to build, and maybe actually very far along in the process of building a working A-bomb, apparently working to miniaturize it, apparently working with a Russian scientist who's giving them all the secrets to how to do it. And there are military people who say, hey, forget Al-Qaeda for the moment. We really need to be focused on Iran.
Yeah. Iran, think of how aggressive Iran has been now without nuclear weapons, whether it's been in Iraq, Afghanistan, trying to assassinate diplomats in Washington, D.C. Iran is pretty aggressive as it is, and Iran with nuclear weapons will be far more aggressive and far more dangerous and will ignite a nuclear arms race in the Middle East as all these countries scramble to get nukes of their own.
Unless the Israelis take care of the matter.
Yeah, here's the problem with all this. Years ago, we could see the train wreck coming. There were always going to be two options: bomb Iran or let Iran get the bomb. Bomb Iran, and there'll be a regional war in the Middle East that could escalate even higher. If you let Iran get the bomb, there's a nuclear arms race, and the likelihood of somebody using one goes way up. You want a third option, and we never really got ourselves to address the problem in advance to find that third option. We tried. Obama wanted to negotiate. Well, it hasn't worked out real well. Bush wanted to to destroy and then build up Iraq. That hasn't worked real well. We need a third option, and time is running out. And I think there's only one option left, which is to do to Iran what Reagan did to the Soviet Union: bankrupt them by driving down the price of oil. Iran needs oil to stay in power. The regime needs the extra money it gets from its oil revenues to subsidize everything in Iran. If that money goes away, government spending is cut, you have a very angry and restive population which will take things into its own hands, and the Iranian leadership will be so preoccupied with trying to stay in power they won't have time or money for a nuke program.
Does the IAEA report change the calculus on any of this?
It does. Everybody's been saying, they're 3 years away, 5 years away, 1 year away. There are three things you need for a nuke. You need enriched uranium. Right. We know they've done that, and they've been doing that. You need a delivery system. You don't just put it on the back of a truck and drive it over the border. You need something that can deliver it to your enemies. That's a missile. We know and we've seen that they've tested medium-range missiles successfully. The third thing they need, though, is the blueprint, and that's what we never knew about. We never knew what did they get, from who did they get it. And the blueprint is really critical, because you don't just have a pile of rich uranium and you have a nuclear weapon. You have to have a trigger device. You have to make it small enough to fit on the top of a missile. There are a lot of technical things that are very hard to develop on their own that they would have had to get from somebody. And what this report shows us is, They got it. They're getting it. They're getting much closer. They do have the 3 ingredients they need for a nuclear weapon. And to my mind, what they're doing now is fine-tuning.
With the UN conceding that and sort of the world community's stamp on it, does that make Obama less inclined to keep up with the charade of talking to them?
Well, Obama does what Obama wants to do, as we've heard on that open mic. You can keep trying to talk to him, but it's happy talk at this point. The closer Iran gets to nuclear weapons, the less likely they're going to give up that program, because they see it as the sort of golden ring. If they get nuclear weapons, they're going to control the entire Middle East. They're going to have that swath between Iran, Iraq, Syria. They're going to control that whole Shiite crescent on the Gulf. Now, why do we care? Why do we care? Because we don't like a lot of nukes loose, because you don't know where they come. Do they come to a neighborhood near you? But also because of the price of oil. If Iran controls that whole region, it controls 40% of the world's oil exports.
What about a third option of continued cyber attacks, which is a little cleaner than just bombing the country?
You mean more Stuxnet?
Yeah.
The Stuxnet thing was very effective and very good, and probably delayed the program. I sure hope we're working on or somebody's working on Stuxnet too. But I think that it's time to understand that the only way is you're going to replace that regime is not by demonstrations. You're not going to replace it by bombing them. You're going to replace it by bankrupting them. And I would do 2 things. One, sanction the Bank of Iran, the Central Bank of Iran, which will take them off the world currency. That means they can't get any revenues from their energy exports. And what does that do? Well, it probably drives the price of oil up. At the same time, I would say to the Saudis, you have as much at stake as we do. Why don't you do what you did with Reagan?
Right.
Flood the world with oil, drive down the price of oil. And then I'd come to America and I'd say, drill, baby, drill.
All right, KT. Good to have you as always. We appreciate it.
Thank you.